UFC 321 is this Saturday, and the people's heavyweight champ, Tom Aspinall, takes on Ciryl Gane in the main event. In this video, we are going to be doing a breakdown and prediction for each fight on the card, starting with the early prelims, working our way up all the way to the main event. If this is your first time seeing my channel, my name is Wyatt. This is Fight Society, and let's get into my breakdown and predictions for UFC 321, Aspinall versus Gane. We start with the early prelim opener of Jaqueline Amorim versus Mizuki Inoue. Now, from a skill standpoint, I know that Amorim is 10-1. I do think that Mizuki is the better fighter. They're both coming off of wins, and I do think that Mizuki is the better and more experienced fighter, but she hasn't fought in nearly 3 years. And so when you go just strictly off of ring rust and activity, I have to go with Jaqueline Amorim. And of course, given that this is a women's MMA fight, especially at 115 pounds, the likelihood for a finish in this fight is extremely low. Mizuki is the better fighter and she's more experienced, but the activity I think is going to show. I think that Amorim's reaction, speed, timing, especially on defense, is going to be vastly better than Mizuki Inoue. And that is why I am going to take Jaqueline Amorim by 29-28 decision. I think you kind of can't miss by going with a 29-28 decision as a pick in a women's MMA fight. It happens like, I swear, 75% of these fights. So I have Jaqueline Amorim, 29-28 decision. I think that Mizuki is going to take a little bit too long to get started, find her bearings after being out for so long. And by the time she's in the flow of the fight, she's going to be down 2 rounds and not able to get a finish. So I have Amorim by 29-28 decision. We move on to Azat Maksum versus Mitch Raposo. This is a matchup in the flyweight division. Now, Azat Maksum is well-rounded, but definitely a grappler given the side of the world he's from. He's got the longer reach, leg reach, height, arm reach, all of that. He's got more fights, more experience against higher level guys. And the times that I've watched Mitch Raposo fight, I know he's from the New England Cartel, Tyson Chartier is his coach, but the times I've watched him fight, I feel like he just doesn't have that sense of urgency. He doesn't have that push the issue, make something big happen in a fight, and he just watches the fight happen in front of him. And when you're going up against somebody from, Kazakhstan, Dagestan, Georgia, that part of the world that will just grapple you to a decision win, it's just a terrible, terrible approach. And I know he trains with a great team, but Mitch Raposo just doesn't have that killer instinct, in my opinion. And it looks like when you watch him fight, that the moment is always too big for him, in my opinion. And I don't like that out of a guy, especially at 125. You're going to be fighting a lot of fast, dangerous guys that are tricky and very well-rounded. And that's what Azat Maksum is. So I don't see Mitch Raposo really mounting enough offense or really creating much of an issue for Azat Maksum. I think that the first round is going to be grapple heavy for Azat Maksum, a 10-9 round. And Mitch Raposo is going to get frustrated from that point and not want to let another fight slip away, because if he loses, he might get cut. I think that's going to force some openings, and we're going to see a submission from Azat Maksum in round 2, where Mitch Raposo could stay calm, ride out the round, not take any massive risk, but lose the decision. I think he's going to make a mistake out of frustration and get caught in a rear naked choke, in a scramble, get his back taken, that sort of thing. So I have Azat Maksum by round 2 submission. And of course, if this goes to a decision, Azat Maksum is going to win the fight. He is of this part of the world, and it's in Abu Dhabi. Unless you're Sean O'Malley against Peter Yan, it's essentially impossible to win a decision in Abu Dhabi as an American. We have Hamdy Abdelwahab, who, if I'm not mistaken, has failed some drug tests before, clearly in better shape than Chris Barnett. And Chris Barnett has been out of the cage for over a year. And I mean, it sucks to say this because I like Chris Barnett. He's fun. But when you look at their body types, they're both out of shape heavyweights, and Chris Barnett is just way more out of shape. We've had some fun moments from him, the spinning wheel kick on Gian Vellante, the wrestling match that he had, or the grappling match that he had with Yoel Romero. Hamdy Abdelwahab is hard-hitting, in my opinion, probably a PED user, and very clearly Chris Barnett is not. And he's a 5'9" heavyweight. I know he's got longer reach, but that height difference of 5 inches kind of starts to negate that reach when you have to start punching up and when you're going to gas out fast. And when your game plan is essentially big movements, explosive movements like spinning wheel kicks, trying to get a head kick, only going for knockouts, you're going to gas out fast. So I think that the first round is going to get really hairy for Hamdy Abdelwahab. I mean, look at his chest here. It's going to get hairy all the time. It's going to get hairy. Chris Barnett's going to throw wheel kicks, jumping knees, head kicks, try to make it interesting. And then from there, and from what we've seen from Chris Barnett before, is he's going to gas out, and it's going to be a very easy TKO. I think that Hamdy Abdelwahab is going to lose the first round because Chris Barnett is making the big movements, taking the chances, and Hamdy Abdelwahab is playing conservatively. And then I think in the start of the second round, Chris Barnett's going to be out of gas, takedown, leads to some ground and pound, and Chris Barnett is not going to get up. So I'm going to go with Hamdy Abdelwahab via second round ground and pound TKO because I don't really think very highly of either of these fighters in terms of their fighting skill. I know that Barnett is very, very athletic for his build. It's actually really weird, but I don't see either of these guys ever even breaking the rankings. And even despite this experience difference where 7 pro fights against 32 pro fights, I still just can't pick Chris Barnett to win a fight as much as I like him. So there's my pick is Hamdy Abdelwahab's second round ground and pound TKO. We move on to the next fight, a very, very interesting fight in the UFC featherweight division. We have Nathaniel Wood, the prospect, not really the prospect anymore, but Nathaniel, the prospect Wood against Jose Miguel Delgado, an MMA lab prospect. He is 10-1. He was a massive bantamweight. He has since moved up to featherweight. He's got a 5-inch height advantage, way less miles on the clock. He's got reach advantages left and right, leg reach, height, arm reach, all of that. And he's massive for the division, if we're being honest, which makes me want to lean towards Delgado. But I think really, really highly of Nathaniel Wood, his fight IQ and his experience. And I think overall skill is going to set him apart from Jose Delgado. But Jose Delgado is very, very durable. So I don't necessarily see a finish here. I see a well-rounded fight and a real MMA fight with some grappling and jiu-jitsu involved as well, not just straight boxing or kickboxing. But I think that Nathaniel Wood, especially with this size disadvantage, is going to have a hard time landing a massive put-away shot on Delgado. But I do think he's better and more skilled. I think he will be a step ahead for a lot of the fight. And Delgado's durability is going to carry him to a decision. And maybe, you know, that size will show later in the fight where Nathaniel Wood starts to tire and Delgado can maybe drop Nathaniel Wood in the third round and steal that third round. But I'm going to go with a 29-28 decision for Nathaniel Wood, with him winning the first and second rounds, and then maybe a little bit of hairiness in round 3, which ends up being somewhat inconsequential towards the result of the fight, because Nathaniel Wood is tough too. So I'm going to go with Nathaniel Wood, 29-28 decision. I think the early part of the card is going to have quite a bit of decisions. We have some evenly matched guys that are very durable. We move on to a fight in the heavyweight division. Valter Walker, Johnny Walker's brother, who just seems to be heel hooking people left and right. He's 14-1. He's going up against Louie Sutherland, who was supposed to fight a few months ago. I can't remember who it was. Oh, Muhammad Usman tested positive for testosterone or something like that. I think that's who he was supposed to fight. Or maybe it was Valter Walker was supposed to fight Muhammad Usman in Rio. And he got and Usman pulled out. And although Louie Sutherland is actually a pretty good striker, and he's not bad, although he does look like a fat heavyweight, it is heavyweight, and none of these guys seem to be able to defend heel hooks. You don't see people getting heel hooks anywhere in the UFC. I know you have an occasional heel hook, knee bar situation at the lower weight classes, but I feel like when you have somebody like Valter Walker, who's a specialist, and he's very large for the weight class, 6'6", 245, he's got a Tom Aspinall frame, not strength, but he's got that Tom Aspinall build, 6'5", 6'6", mid-240s, with that jiu-jitsu experience, and he's just heel hooking everybody, and he's really sneaky with it. I mean, the way that he got Kennedy Nzechukwu, he dropped down to the heel hook from a body lock from the back. That's going to be way too tricky for these regional heavyweights that Louie Sutherland's been fighting. I'm going to go with Valter Walker via round 1 heel hook. I just don't think that until you get up to a Ciryl Gane, I mean, maybe a Marcin Tybura, he kind of sucks too, but like a Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane, Spivak, Volkov, Almeida, those are the guys that are going to be able to defend a grappling heel hook specialist like Valter Walker, but I don't think Louie Sutherland is on that level. I think that Louie Sutherland's going to really go for it early, make a mistake, get heel hooked, and Valter Walker starts moving towards top 10 guys, because it is interesting to see a type of jiu-jitsu specialist like him in this day and age at heavyweight. We haven't seen it in a while, since like a Verdum type of guy that really relied on his jiu-jitsu. And I know that Ciryl Gane had a heel hook early in his career on Dante O'Mays, but it's Ciryl Gane. He's a Muay Thai kickboxer. Valter Walker is going to get pushed fast because he's a new name. Tom Aspinall is going to run through this division very quickly, and they're going to need title challengers for Tom Aspinall. We got Ciryl Gane. Maybe John Jones comes back. Maybe Alex Pereira moves up to heavyweight and they do Aspinall Pereira at the White House. But I think come 2027, the UFC is going to be starving for heavyweight title challengers for Tom Aspinall. And I think Valter Walker is going to be a guy that gets that push. He has a respectable record. They can sell that. And Louie Sutherland's just a fat heavyweight that hits hard. If you look at his body, he looks like a guy that should be at 205, and he's just fat and out of shape. I hate to say it. So Valter Walker, round 1, heel hook submission. We move on to a very, very high-level fight in the lightweight division. Ľudovít Klein and Mateusz Rebecki. Now, they're both coming off of losses. They're both the same height. They have vastly different reaches, though. And given Ľudovít Klein being such a crispy kickboxer, I've had a lot of positive things to say about Ľudovít Klein for a couple years now. He's really nasty on the feet. He's really nasty on the feet. And Rebecki, I know he's 23. I know he's 20-3. I know he's really tough, but holy shit, he takes a lot of damage. He relies on that wrestling, but I don't even know if he's going to be able to close that distance on Klein. He might eat that knee up the middle. He could get caught with some elbows inside. And I really don't see somebody that's more of a tough guy, push through adversity and try to break his opponent type of guy like Rebecki. I don't see him being able to withstand the high-level kickboxing that we see from Ľudovít Klein. I don't think he's going to be able to break Ľudovít Klein. But also going back the other way, Rebecki, very tough, hard to finish. The only time that we saw him get stopped was a doctor stoppage with, his eye was closed. He was cut badly. I think it was against Carlos Diego Ferreira. So I don't think he's going to get finished. I think that's going to be a 30-27, possibly 29-28, but I think it's going to be a 30-27 decision for Ľudovít Klein in a very, very fun fight. I'm not trying to say that all of these decisions on the early part of the card are going to be snoozers. I think that this is going to be a really exciting fight, and Ľudovít Klein deserves a fringe ranking type of guy after this fight. Maybe a Bobby Green, maybe a Michael Johnson, somebody like that. That's kind of fun, good striker. Frankly, I mean, you could make like a Michael Johnson versus Klein, or a Bobby Green versus Klein. You could make that a prelim headliner, like a featured prelim on a pay-per-view next year. I think that'd be really fun. So I'm going 29-28, 30-27, Ľudovít Klein. Rebecki's going to have a hard time closing the distance. He's way shorter. They're the same height, but his reach is way shorter. And we're going to see that. He's going to have a hard time closing the distance, and he's going to get beat up for 3 rounds, in my opinion. We move on to a middleweight bout between Ikram Aliskerov and Junyoung Park. Ikram Aliskerov, I know he's basically famous for getting knocked out by Khamzat Chimaev on the regional scene, and a lot of UFC fans know him for getting knocked out by Rob Whittaker on a week's notice or 2 weeks' notice. Although his 2 losses are pretty brutal knockout losses, Khamzat flatlined him with that uppercut in Brave FC. He got also KO'd by an uppercut by Rob Whittaker. At least that's what started the combo that finished him. And he got knocked out by an uppercut by Rob Whittaker. So he's definitely susceptible to those round shots coming up through the guard, because he's got that high guard, and those uppercuts up the middle seem to be his kryptonite. But Junyoung Park, he's got good pressure boxing, and you'd think that he is really capable of landing that uppercut. I'm not seeing it in this fight, though. He's just a step slower. He's a little bit smaller. He's not as long. And that pressure boxing, I think, is going to fade fast when somebody like Aliskerov starts to introduce that grappling as well. Aliskerov, I know he's unranked. We've seen him get done bad a couple times, but he is very good. I have a lot of positive things to say about Ikram Aliskerov. And I think that his elite wrestling and grappling is going to be set up nicely by some of his well-timed strikes on the feet. I think he's going to end up pressuring Junyoung Park up against the fence, body lock from the back, throw a hook in, and get kind of a rear naked choke up against the fence while Junyoung Park's kind of on a knee, like kind of gets caught while he's trying to use the fence to get up. And I'm going to go with Ikram Aliskerov, round 2 or 3 rear naked choke up against the fence, kind of like one of those half-standing rear naked chokes. Kind of like what Tom Aspinall got on Andrei Arlovski, if you remember that choke. He snuck the choke arm around while Arlovski was fighting the opposite hand, and I think that's similar to what's going to happen in this fight. So I got Aliskerov round 2 or round 3 rear naked choke. Moving on, we have a freaking banger fight in the lightweight division. We have Nasrat Haqparast and Quillan Salkilld. Quillan Salkilld, in his UFC debut, had that nasty right hand that KO'd Anshul Jabli. He's really, really talented. He's longer and taller than Nasrat Haqparast. Very explosive, but Nasrat Haqparast has been in there with some top-level lightweights. He's been in there with Dan Hooker. He's been in there with Bobby Green, I'm pretty sure. He's been in there with some ranked veteran lightweights. And I think that that experience is going to shine through. I don't think that Quillan Salkilld is going to be able to just land one big shot to put Haqparast away. He's got 23 pro fights compared to Salkild's 10, and Salkild's never fought somebody like a Dan Hooker or even somebody like a Bobby Green, who has been ranked. I know he's not the best, but he's experienced and has slick boxing. I don't think that Salkilld could even beat one of those guys. I mean, maybe he could, but he hasn't fought somebody of that level. Nasrat Haqparast tends to put a little bit more pressure and volume out. And as you can see right here, his defense vastly more accurate. He gives up way less defense. I know he absorbs 6 strikes per minute compared to Quillan Salkild's 3, but this is such a small sample size. All he did was fight Anshul Jabli, and I think he maybe had one more fight. Nasrat Haqparast, when you fight a Dan Hooker or a Bobby Green, somebody that doesn't have a whole lot of power, but they're putting out a lot of volume boxing, of course you're going to have to absorb more strikes per minute, but he's defending 2/3 of the strikes coming his way. So when you consider that he's got 18 strikes coming his way on average per minute, and he's defending 12 of them, that's a lot better than somebody like Quillan Salkilld, who has 7 strikes coming his way and he's only defending 3 of them. I know it's a small sample size for Salkilld, but at this point, especially when age and damage are not super prevalent in somebody like Nasrat Haqparast, it's not like he's been knocked out cold 10 times in his career. I have Haqparast by 2nd round TKO. I think that Salkilld, although this isn't a heavyweight fight, he's going to come out similar to Louie Sutherland and try to get an early finish. I think that Nasrat Haqparast is going to weather that early storm and take advantage with a late round TKO, whether that be end of the 2nd round, early 3rd round. I'm taking a big left hand landed by Nasrat Haqparast right down the middle, knocks down Quillan Salkilld. Quillan Salkilld has a little bit of time to roll around and try to work his way back to his feet, and I think the ref's going to save him from extra punishment. Nasrat Haqparast, end of round 2, early round 3, TKO. Quick break. If you're loving this video and you want more from Fight Society, click that join button down below to become a channel member today, where you'll get access to members-only live streams, behind-the-scenes vlogs, and all the unfiltered stuff that we don't post to the main channel. Back to the video. And that brings us to the main card of UFC 321, a very exciting matchup. Aleksandar Rakic has not won a fight since Thiago Santos in like 2021 or 2022. I know he's had some serious knee injuries. He lost to Jan Blachowicz. He almost beat Yuri and then got finished. And then he lost to Magomed Ankalaev in a very lackluster decision win for Magomed Ankalaev. Really lame that got him a title shot. But Azamat Murzakanov, he's on the older side. He's going to be pushing for this title shot. He's undefeated, giving up a lot in terms of height, in terms of reach, in terms of leg reach. Even just looking at the two of them, you would think, oh my God, dude, Rakic is a marauder. He's going to kill this guy, Murzakanov. But when you look at the record and the guys that Murzakanov has put away and the way he's put people away, and you compare it to the way that Rakic fades in fights, he comes out really strong, and you can tell that his level of muscle tires him out really, really fast. And that's why I just can't pick against Murzakanov in this fight. And I think at this point in his career, tons of losses in a row, hasn't won a fight in close to 4 or 5 years for Rakic. I just think that this is all coming together for Murzakanov to get a nasty early finish. I think that the size difference and the power difference that Rakic might think he has is going to make him overly confident, hands down, and he's going to get clipped with something big. He did the same thing in the Yuri fight. He made a massive mistake. Magomed Ankalaev never get him out of first gear. I know Ankalaev is a tough puzzle to figure out, and so far only the GOAT Paul Craig and Alex Pereira have done it. But Rakic, I think, looks and presents himself as a lot better fighter than he actually is. I know he gives some really tough guys a hard time, but Murzakanov is really slept on. And he's got really nasty kickboxing. He's got really surprising techniques. I could see him throwing that spinning wheel kick in round one that really wobbles Rakic and then gets followed up by a bunch of TKO ground and pound type of strikes for a finish in round one. So I'm going to go with Murzakanov with a round one finish. I know that's a little bit out there considering that Rakic made it into the third round with Yuri Prohaska and went the distance with Magomed Ankalaev, but I'm going to give an early finish to Murzakanov in this fight. So Murzakanov gets the win, top 10 guy next. Like a Khalil Roundtree would be a sick matchup. I know Roundtree thinks he's a bigger star than he is because he's gotten his ass whooped by a couple of big stars. Throw Murzakanov in there. That's a sick matchup, all right? And we move on to Volkov versus Almeida in the heavyweight division. This is a fight that's likely going to decide who fights the winner of the main event in Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane. If you would have asked me right after the Tom Aspinall fight where Volkov got submitted in round one, I'd say, oh yeah, Almeida's going to run through him. But now when I look at it, you know, Volkov's got a new team. He's in Vegas now. He's not training so much at Black House MMA in California. He's more at Pohada MMA in Vegas. He's put on some weight. He's Swolkov now. And when you consider the fact that Almeida is 235, he's about 20 pounds smaller than Tom Aspinall. I don't think Almeida is going to be able to just blast double his way into Volkov the way that Tom Aspinall did. I know that Volkov's taller and there's a lot of wiggle room and mistakes that Almeida can make and still get to the hips of Volkov. But he does that snap kick or a leg kick into a shot from really far out. And I think that somebody like Volkov who can get his hips back on a sprawl and be on top of Almeida, that's going to be serious problems. And I think that we're going to see in this fight just why Jailton Almeida used to be a 205er. Listen, I know that he bullied Derek Lewis, but that was on short notice. And I don't want to make excuses for Derek Lewis, but he's far less technical than Volkov. I think that very early on, Almeida is going to try to establish the grappling and the physicality difference for Volkov, where he's 20 to 30 pounds heavier. He probably hits harder in striking than Almeida as well. Almeida's got really sus striking. I got Volkov by decision, maybe even a late round TKO because Almeida gasses. But I think very early on, Almeida's going to blow his gas tank on multiple takedown attempts that don't work. I mean, even just Curtis Blades, who was vastly more physical than he was. He got TKO'd up against the fence shooting his own takedown. This is against Alexander Volkov, who's been a staple in the heavyweight division for a long time. Keep in mind, this is not a Sergey Spivak. This is not an Alexander Romanov. This is not a Derek Lewis. This is not a chunky fat heavyweight. This is a 6'9", as some people say, 6'9", 260-pound Alexander Volkov with a ton of experience against the top guys. I got to go with Volkov by decision. Maybe Almeida gasses out and gets finished late, but I got Volkov by decision, 29-28, maybe 30-27. We move on to what could be, emphasis on could be, a number one contenders fight in the bantamweight division. Umar seems to think that he deserves infinite title shots. A lot of guys do it, but especially the Dagestanis think that they can win a fight and get a title shot, lose, win one fight, title shot, lose, win one fight, title shot. And Justin Gaethje thinks that about himself as well. And I think that these guys are both really well-rounded. We saw Mario Batista show very good striking against Patchy Mix. I know it's Patchy Mix, but very good striking against Patchy Mix. Really good wrestling, even though he stalled quite a bit against Jose Aldo. He's well-rounded, but I don't think he's as well-rounded or as tricky as Umar Nurmagomedov. Umar's got elite grappling, and then he's kind of got that boxing mixed with karate-style kicks where Mario Batista's much more meat and potatoes, jab, cross, hook, leg kick, double leg takedowns. I know that he's really good. He's got great cardio. He's strong. We've seen him beat some really top-level guys. He trains at a top-level gym and MMA lab. It's Umar Nurmagomedov, Abu Dhabi. I think this is going to go to a decision. And even if Mario Batista should win the decision, it's a Nurmagomedov in Abu Dhabi. Umar is going to get it. So I'm going to go with 29-28, Umar Nurmagomedov. And we move on to, let's be real, the most irrelevant title fight in UFC history. Maybe since Ciryl Gane versus Derek Lewis for the interim belt, headlining that one fight in Houston. Virna Jandiroba, Mackenzie Dern. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this. I mean, it's not a whole lot of us care about this fight. It's going to be some sloppy striking and then some pretty good jiu-jitsu. I'm going to go with 48-47 Mackenzie Dern. I don't really have a whole lot to say about that fight. We move on to the important fight of the night, the main event, heavyweight title on the line in Abu Dhabi. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane. Both of them are in the best shape of their careers. Both of them have been out for over a year, almost a year for Ciryl Gane, but basically a year for both guys. So the ring rust is there. It's not like one guy fought 4 months ago and one guy's been out for a year and a half. They've both been out for a while. They're both actually in shape heavyweights. I feel like this is the first time we've seen two in shape heavyweights fight for the belt in a while, minus like Ngannou and Gane fighting each other. But bag of milk built John Jones and Stipe, 45 years old, in the last heavyweight title fight. Before that, you had Tom Aspinall beating Curtis Blades in a title fight. Before we get into this fight, because keep in mind that Tom Aspinall is the savior of the heavyweight division with John Jones leaving it behind, I got to show you guys this absolutely abysmal take from MMA Joey. Now, I know he's one of the more disliked creators in this space. I know that he's a contrarian that basically just says the opposite of what we're all feeling for the sake of getting views because he has no personality and he doesn't have any interesting takes. And I'm sure if he was to see this, he would just call out my subscriber count and be like, oh yeah, I got way more subs than him. But here he is saying the UFC should cancel UFC 321 and strip Tom Aspinall of the heavyweight title. He has no personality, no star power, no IG followers, sells no pay-per-views, and his embedded episodes have been a disaster. I think they should send him to the PFL. Now this is an insane take, a terrible take at that as well. That's just trying to rage bait the Tom Aspinall fans and going after the family man, Tom Aspinall, that's actually a good guy and not a woman beater degenerate like John Jones, while also going at Ariel Helwani and says protecting a rapist, talking about Conor McGregor being involved in Ariel Helwani's BKFC documentary. Interesting that you call out Ariel Helwani for interviewing Conor McGregor, but then you have nothing negative to say about John Jones. And you defend people like Magomed Ankalaev, who is a boring champ with no personality, that sells no pay-per-views, that has no IG followers, that has abysmal embedded episodes unless it's next to Alex Pereira and they're arguing in the UFC PI. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it. It's rage bait because he doesn't have anything interesting to say. And I'm sure that if he sees this, he's going to have negative things to say about my channel. But for fuck's sake, say something interesting that isn't just contrarian rage bait, especially when it's about somebody like Tom Aspinall, who has the shortest average fight time in UFC history, takes fights on short notice, and
have you ever been fingered by an MMA fighter before?
Is hilarious, actually does have a personality, unlike Magomed Ankalaev, who you've defended, okay, Joey? So we see right through this. Honestly, I know he has like a good number of subs and he's got channel members and stuff, but who genuinely takes MMA Joey seriously? So that's my take. Shout out to Just Bleed for this post as well. I missed this MMA Joey take and I'm glad that Just Bleed posted that. So shout out to them and shout out to Tom Aspinall. But anyways, back to the main event of UFC 321. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane. This is Tom Aspinall's toughest test in the heavyweight division, unless John Jones comes back. This is the toughest test. And although Ciryl Gane, skill for skill, is better than Tom Aspinall on the feet, he's more tricky, he's more creative, and Tom Aspinall is a little bit more jab, cross, hook, leg kick, kind of similar to Mario Batista that I just said, but much more meat and potatoes style than Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane cracks under pressure. He shot a double leg on Francis Ngannou, if I remember correctly. He went for a heel hook against Francis Ngannou when he could have absolutely shit the bed against John Jones in 2 minutes, got guillotined. Should have lost to Volkov. This should be Alexander Volkov's title fight because Ciryl Gane lost in their fight. I think it was December. Volkov should have won that fight. This should be Aspinall Volkov with John Jones not being around. And it just seems like every time Ciryl Gane ends up in a big fight, he shits the bed so badly. And Tom Aspinall has stepped up Curtis Blades, a fight he shouldn't have had to fight, knocked him out. Sergey Pavlovich took it on like 10 days notice, knocked him out. Came back from a brutal knee injury, smoked Marcin Tybura. Alexander Volkov in the past too. Tom Aspinall is the future of the heavyweight division. And most of us know that. I mean, most of us saw DC talking about how bad the heavyweight division is and just how crazy of a run Tom Aspinall could go on. And so I'm going to go with Tom Aspinall by finish in the second round. I think that there's going to be a little bit of a feeling out process for them, but then in round 2, Aspinall is going to land something that we don't see coming. And that happens a lot. It's that really like out of nowhere, like, oh, there's that right hand, or oh, there's that hook. It happened with Sergey Pavlovich. It happened with Curtis Blades. Ciryl Gane is the toughest test in the heavyweight division as far as active fighters go for Tom Aspinall. And I still think Tom Aspinall is going to run through him. And then he's going to probably fight Volkov or Pereira or Jones. And I think he wins all those fights. And Tom Aspinall is eventually going to be considered the heavyweight GOAT. So I got Tom Aspinall round 2 KO/TKO. So there we have my picks, full card prediction and picks for UFC 321. Let me know your picks down below. Do you want more from Fight Society? Like and subscribe below this video and click the join button to become a channel member today to get access to behind the scenes vlogs and members only live streams.